Right now on NBC 26, live at 6, we're learning more about what prompted a gunman to go on a shooting spree at a Florida airport. Plus, it's an NBC 26 exclusive. A Sturgeon Bay woman right next to that gunman recalls those terrifying moments at the Fort Lauderdale airport. And gearing up for game day, Packers Nation preparing to take on the Giants. We're live from Lambeau Field. We begin with new information tonight on a deadly shooting at the Fort Lauderdale International Airport. 5 people were killed and several others injured after a lone gunman went on a shooting spree. NBC's Carrie Sanders has the latest from Florida.
Just before 1 p.m. Friday,
Flying all around us.
A chaotic and horrific scene when deputies say 26-year-old Esteban Santiago opened fire at baggage claim in Terminal 2.
There was no rhyme or reason to it. Was not yelling anything, was not screaming anything, just very nonchalant, just basically point, shoot anyone that was in his path.
Inside, sheer terror.
People are trying to break through doors. People are running over children.
Bags scattered, crowds evacuated to the tarmac. SWAT teams, deputies, the FBI responding within minutes.
It looks like we've got at least 5 or 6 victims so far.
Santiago, who flew from Anchorage to Minneapolis and on to Fort Lauderdale, is believed, investigators say, to have retrieved a gun from his checked luggage and baggage claim, loaded it in a nearby bathroom, exited, and then began shooting.
And then he basically ran out of ammunition, put the gun down by the side. He walked out the same way we did, dropped the gun, laid face down, spread eagle until the deputy came.
We have the shooter in custody. He's unharmed. No law enforcement fired any shots.
When it was over, 5 dead, 8 others shot, dozens injured in the chaos. Then around 2:30, passengers in a different terminal fearing a second gunman. And reports of a suspicious person in a parking garage nearby. Both false alarms.
There's been no shooting at any place else.
This morning, Santiago is in federal custody. The question of why still unanswered.
I hate to say it, but I think we all live with that fear that something like this could happen to any of us at any time.
Officials say Santiago's initial court appearance is scheduled for Monday. Now today, police trying to figure out the motive behind that deadly shooting. Investigators say they believe that gunman went to Fort Lauderdale specifically to carry out the attack, but they're not sure what triggered it. Police say they expect to release charges against the gunman soon.
We have not ruled out anything. We continue to look at all avenues and all motives for this horrific attack, and at this point we are continuing to look at the terrorism angle in regards to the potential motivation behind this attack.
Investigators say they worked through the night collecting evidence and returned the terminal back to the airport at 7:30 this morning. Now it's an NBC 26 exclusive. A woman from Sturgeon Bay caught in the chaos in the Fort Lauderdale airport. She tells NBC 26 she was standing in the baggage claim area right next to some of the victims when the shooting started. NBC 26's Marissa DiCandido spoke with her today. She joins us now with that exclusive first-hand account.
Marjorie Stotts says she and her husband are still a little bit numb. The two were in the baggage claim area at the Fort Lauderdale airport yesterday when the gunman opened fire. Today, Stotts tells me they're leaning on faith in their family to make it through what they witnessed. Chaos in the Fort Lauderdale airport, and there in shock is Marjorie Stotts.
It was extremely surreal and something that I hope no one ever has to go through again.
Stotts and her husband were waiting for their bags after traveling to Florida from Sturgeon Bay.
Talking to the lady I got the plane with from Atlanta, and I just given her something and turned around bent over to zip my carry-on back up when I heard the first couple pops.
Stotts says she laid on the ground separated from her husband with the gunman in sight.
I could see the young man walking very calmly, very, very methodical, very, sober-faced.
And she says it was the grace of God that she and her husband are still alive.
He was shooting people all around him, but we don't know if that's the point he ran out of bullets or how he didn't choose my husband because he was standing right over him, right behind him. So it was the will of God that some were spared.
Alive, but trying to overcome the pain of witnessing this tragedy. Stotts says she and her husband have been in close contact with their family and their pastor, and they're praying for all those who didn't make it. Marissa DiCandido, NBC 26.
Now, weapons are a constant threat at airports across the nation. In 2015, more than 2,600 firearms were confiscated at checkpoints. The TSA allows passengers to check unloaded firearms in a locked, hard-sided container. There's even an online video on how to do it.
Notify the airline during the ticket counter check-in process that your baggage contains a properly secured firearm.
The airlines don't keep track of how many weapons they carry each year, but plenty of hunters, law enforcement, and gun owners check weapons.
Well, another very cold day. We're looking at temperatures in the single digits at your 6 o'clock hour. 8 degrees right now looking out at Lambeau Field. Feels like it's 7 below with a breeze out of the northwest, anywhere between 5 to 10 miles an hour. 5 down towards Appleton. Feels like 11 below with westerly winds at around 12 miles an hour. But we're staying quiet and calm, mostly clear as we head into tonight. Temperatures again are going to fall to below zero for overnight lows with wind chill factors anywhere between 5 to 10 degrees below zero. We see mostly sunny skies and an increase in cloud cover as we head into Saturday, but I'll have your Packers forecast and what we can expect for the beginning of the work week coming up in just a bit. Raquel?
Well, scary moments for a Manitowoc family after a fire in their home. Fire crews say it happened on the 800 block of Dewey Street. Firefighters were on scene for 2 hours. They say the fire started on the stove. No one was hurt in that blaze. On to the transfer of power now. President-elect Donald Trump started his weekend off in Trump Tower just one day after the nation's top intelligence officials briefed him on what they call Russia's attempt to tip the election in his favor. Is the president-elect buying what they're selling? NBC's Ron Allen has more.
The conclusion by America's intel chiefs, a covert Russian campaign ordered by President Vladimir Putin evolved into an effort to help Donald Trump become president. Russia's goals were to undermine public faith in the U.S. democratic process, denigrate Secretary Clinton, and harm her electability and potential presidency. We further assess Putin and the Russian government developed a clear preference for President-elect Trump. But Mr. Trump, who earlier had again dismissed charges of Russian hacking as a witch hunt, in a statement only acknowledged that Russia, China, and other countries are engaged in cyber hacking, and emphasized there was absolutely no effect on the outcome of the election. While the report did not make a political conclusion, it clearly pointed a finger at Putin.
I would have liked to see the president-elect finally acknowledge the obvious. Everybody else has accepted this. It's time for him to.
Afterwards, the vice president-elect, trying to make peace with intelligence officials and operatives, said to be angered by disparaging comments by the soon-to-be commander-in-chief.
I know the president-elect and I both appreciate the sacrifices that the men and women who serve in our intelligence services around the country and around the world provide in contributing to the safety and security of the American people.
And as Mr. Trump tries to move on, another signature campaign issue suddenly back in the spotlight.
And Mexico will pay for the wall.
But Republicans in Congress now considering whether to build it with U.S. taxpayer dollars, billions, to get the project moving and get Mexico to pay later. In a telephone interview, Mr. Trump pushed back at the idea he won't fulfill his promise, telling the New York Times, "We're going to get reimbursed."
That was NBC's Ron Allen reporting. Now, the Fox Valley Veterans Council is hosting a fundraiser to help veterans in need. The Winter Craft and Vendor Fair will have more than 40 tables of unique merchandise for sale. The event will be held from 9 to 3 tomorrow at the address listed on your screen. A workshop at the CP Center of Green Bay is aiming to help siblings get closer through understanding. It's all part of their monthly Sib Shop program that helps siblings understand their brothers and sisters with disabilities. Event organizers say when the siblings leave the workshop, they have a new appreciation for what their brothers and sisters go through every day.
They have fun learning what all the apparatus is about. They have fun learning with one another how hard it is to go through therapy. And they begin to really appreciate some of the challenges that their brothers and sisters experience.
Wisconsin hopes Sib Shop events like this on a monthly basis throughout the year. Well, more than 100 church youth groups are packing the KI Convention Center in Green Bay for the District Youth Conference, and they're making a difference. The group spent this afternoon packing 100,000 meals to send to Guatemala, helping families in poverty who can't put food on the table.
We wanted to make an impact on our world, and so that was what we discovered we could do, is with the max amount of people, we can make an impact with this project.
Event organizers say the last time they held a meal packing event of this size was 3 years ago, but they hope to continue that process for many years to come. Well, still ahead here on NBC 26, cheering on the green and gold. We're live at the Packers pep rally at Lambeau Field. But first, what is the weather looking like for the rest of the weekend? Your forecast is next.